India, but I do know that some of our listeners are in US. For the ones in US, good morning, and everyone else, I just hope that you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Happy Easter to the ones who are celebrating. Today we have a very special guest. I'm very excited to be introducing everyone to Vibha Lakhera, the managing trustee of Reachout Foundation. It's an educational, she's an educationist, have a lot of teaching experience, and I am hoping that in today's session, we would learn a little bit about, about the foundation, what she's working on, because I have seen posts relevant to Manipur and of discrimination, which is very relevant to, what is happening now and what we have been struggling. So we can learn that from Vibha. And also, since we are having our book club, I had requested her to share a choice of her book. So with that, I'm going to bring up Vibha to our studio up here in the screen. Hey, Vibha, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Monica. So good to get in touch with you on this platform. Thank you for inviting me over.
Yeah, absolutely. You look lovely. I met Biva long back, way back in 2016, when I was in Delhi, when I went to interview Kisalia. And I was offered a lovely, lovely lunch. I still remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely wonderful to see you back here, and I love the outfit what you're wearing.
Oh, thank you so much, Monica. Thanks a lot. I took the pains of getting ready today after a long duration of being in pajamas, as I was mentioning a little while back to you. So I'm pretty happy to, dress up and be on this platform for more reasons than, which are already obvious to for me and for you as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for dressing up. We all need that, right? Just because we
Yeah.
are working from home doesn't mean that we all have to be in PJs. So absolutely. All right. So to start with, I know gave a little bit of background on you, but if you can detail out more about yourself and help us
Yeah.
understand what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Vibha Lakhera, and I'm currently working for Reachout Foundation. But even before I started work with the foundation, I was teaching in schools off and on because my husband is in the army, and because of the transferable work scenario, we moved from one place to another. So not for a prolonged period of time, I could not stay put in one school and teach and be stable in that sense. However, I did manage to accumulate 15 years of teaching experience, but that was just as an educator. Uh, in the year 2014, I stepped into this other sector, the services sector, and I joined Reach Out Foundation. I have been in the founding team of this NGO, which is working to address racial and ethnic discrimination. And we started when we started the foundation in the year 2014. We started with the launch of a discrimination report, which was to analyze what is the experience of the people of the Northeast who are residing in a place like Delhi. What is their experience of being in a place like Delhi? How safe do they feel? How much discrimination do they face as students, as working people at different age groups, and all that stuff? Uh, but the most, prominent, the end result of the whole report was that majority of them felt that even though they felt unsafe in being in a place like Delhi, they did hope that the situation would improve, and they saw education as one of the most key factors where some kind of awareness could be generated amongst people, and people would start becoming more and more aware about discrimination and how it happens, and how it impacts people from the northeast or any other people who are looking different, who stand out because of their physical features, which is what racial discrimination is all about. So we started off our journey from that with that report. After which there were certain roundtable conferences, and there were certain discussions which carried on. We also launched a social media website called ourstories.org.in, where we were putting multiple stories from various regions to dispel the danger of a single story. When we have one single story of a certain region or of a certain community, we immediately start forming stereotypical notions about them, and our attitudes and our belief systems get impacted because of that. That portal is, for now, it has taken a bit of a backseat because there have not been enough funds. However, in the year 2016, we worked on a monograph which was to address what was the level of acceptance of multicultural diversity in Delhi and NCR schools. So we carried out a qualitative research amongst in the schools of Delhi and NCR, and the most important thing that we figured out was that the narrative of the teachers and of the parents and of the students, the three key stakeholders, was very different one from the other. And the most important stakeholder, the children, they felt that the situation was such where they were feeling the pinch of favoritism, of teasing, of bullying, and all that stuff. However, the teachers, a lot many times, they felt that everything settles down organically, and there was really no need to talk about multiculturalism and diversity and all these things in the schools. In fact, I was quite surprised when I spoke to a few educators and even the principals of some very good schools in Delhi. I mean, the public schools, the noted schools in Delhi, and they had this to say, that why do you even want to talk about this issue? Why do you want to ruffle up the surface? Because people settle
Hmm.
down, children settle down organically. They don't have any problems.
They
Why
don't
should?
want to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't want to talk about it at all. So,
Hmm.
which was like, for me, who had also been a teacher for 15 years, that was quite an eye opener, to tell you very frankly, Monica. In
Right.
fact, in
Yeah, that
fact,
is giving me the chills because, and also, I think we are having a very important conversation because we don't, I mean, I knew a little bit of the work, what you were doing, but I think we all need to understand, what are the findings and what can we do about it, right? So if a
yeah,
teacher is saying that, hey, I don't feel the need to talk about this, they would handle it themselves. That is scary, and that is happening in New Delhi.
yeah.
So imagine, what about other places?
In fact, as something which I would like to share with you, Monica, is that um, during our work in the foundation, what I have realized is that people are in denial. People really don't know. They just know the word discrimination, and maybe at an intellectual level, but what is the felt reality of, let's say, discrimination, non acceptance, and exclusion? It is not known to people. Unless you have worn the shoe, unless you have felt how much it bites, you really cannot empathize with that.
Hmm.
And so much so that, like, till such time I had started my journey in the foundation, I was also pretty much oblivious to what a large chunk, a large majority of this country, the people, how they feel and how they live their lives. I was in an ivory tower myself, and as a teacher, so many times when I look back, I find myself, culpable, completely culpable of choosing certain few children time and again because they were good at ABC activities, and I did not really stop mindfully to see what the other part or the other side of the fence of the kids was feeling and what they were going through.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been a big eye opener for me. It has been a journey which has been outward as well as inward for myself.
Yeah, so absolutely. So what I'm hearing is, I guess it's the awareness, right?
Yeah,
Even as a person, if you have not experienced it, then it is very difficult to understand what the other person or people from other region are feeling when they come out of their state.
right.
Specifically, I think, the notice we are talking about right now. So let me
Yeah.
ask you one thing, like how come Reach Out Foundation, is it focused only on the Northeast, or is Northeast a part of, the project? Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
want to appreciate that, that you guys are, including projects relevant to Northeast. And I just wanted to kind of, I guess, understand how you linked, the project for Northeast.
right. So for that, I will have to mention a little bit about the genesis of the foundation. So Kishle, who's the founder trustee of the foundation, while he was working for NDTV in the year 2012, he was reporting from Guwahati, from the northeast itself. And in the year 2012, there was a riot which took place in Assam, in the Kokrajhar district of Assam, where there was a where there were riots between the Bodo and the Muslim communities which reside in that area, in that region. As a result of it, there was a mass exodus that started happening of the northeast people from the rest of the country, from the other parts of the country, from Pune, from Bangalore, from Delhi, because they were being attacked. They could easily be identified, and they were being attacked for those reasons. What was happening back there in Assam, which gave this idea. I mean, which made Kishle and a couple of other people realize that why is this happening? What is happening out here? Why are people being what's going on out here? And that gave rise to the idea of starting work and start addressing awareness around racial discrimination, which people even now by and large feel that it's hardly there in India. Most people feel that racial discrimination, it happens back there in US or in UK or in European countries where there's black, where there are black communities and the white communities and all that stuff. There are racial discrimination happening over there. It doesn't happen in India. So even now, a lot of people think like that. So that is how Reach Out Foundation started, addressing this cause, and
Yeah, no,
we
that
started,
is the background is very helpful, and
yeah,
thanks to Kishalia.
yeah,
Because of his coverage for the Northeast, I think he has, published many books. Also, a core, I guess, impact for this foundation to come up. So thank you for that, because,
yeah,
like you said, many people don't even acknowledge that there is racism within the
yeah,
country.
yeah.
So yeah, all right.
Yeah, so that is how we started our journey. And coming to the school project, which is accepting, which we have which is accepting multicultural diversity, building harmony. Okay, we started our school project in the year 2017. And we took into account one school in Delhi, which it's a pilot project, and we made one school a model school. It is like a social laboratory for us, where we have been carrying on certain activities through storytelling, through journaling, through creative writing, um, and all these things. Various activities to address this issue in the school. This project has got two verticals to it. One is that we are talking about, discrimination, how it manifests in the day to day behavior in the schools, like in terms of favoritism, silent treatment, negative teasing, bullying, and children feeling excluded, not seen, not heard, for various reasons, about which a lot of times it is basically happening quite organically, if you ask me, Monica, because we've all gotten so used to a certain reality and of a certain way of being, that we have actually forgotten what it is like to really connect to another human being and be able to feel what pain they are going through. So we are trying to, empower children, or we are trying to become facilitators of certain experiences for children where they can start becoming more and more empathetic towards each other. That is
Mm-hmm.
one part of the project. And the other part, which is a very interesting part, and where Manipur also comes into play, is that we connected students of this school in Delhi with their counterparts in Manipur, Assam, Arunachal, and Meghalaya through letters and cards, an exchange of letters and cards. And with those letters and cards, the children were exchanging details of where they are staying, how they are living, their day to day lives, their school life, their culture, their clothes, the food that they are eating, the local games that they play, the music, the kind of music that happens, all these aspects. And frankly, Monica, if you ask me, a child who grows up in a city like, let's say, a New York or a Delhi or a Bangalore or a Sydney, their lives is very cosmopolitan. And their idea, and especially in the case of India, a Delhi kid thinks that the rest of the country is like this only,
Mm-hmm.
unless somebody has made it their business to bring in the awareness for them that no, majority of the country is not like this. So these this exchange of letters and cards was a great tool for us to create that kind of a connection for the children. The whole process when they would be writing letters, because they had never written letters to, and especially to children who they had never seen,
Mm-hmm.
they were relating to kids of different states of the Northeast, including Manipur, who they had never seen and who they had never come across. And the whole process and the idea of writing your letters and posting them, and then they would be really eagerly waiting for the letters to arrive from the other end as well. So that was a very beautiful way of communication happening. And what I feel is that each medium of communication, it is, it brings to the fore a different way of communication also. For example, when I'm meeting somebody face to face in person, the way I relate to them at that point in time, the way I relate to them over social media, or the way I would start jotting down my thoughts on paper with a with a pen or a pencil, all these three forms of communication that are happening by me only, but I start relating in a different way.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think,
And it brings out like different depthness in you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I'm very excited to hear this project because I
yeah.
personally love the idea
In,
of
in fact,
communicating in letter because I feel that the depthness is more,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. There are such beautiful stories to share, which have come our way from, from children from Manipur and Assam, which these children are from the villages, from the interiors. There's a small place called Saikul, which is more like a local Manipuri small town.
Yeah.
But for a child sitting here in Delhi, it is very difficult for them to imagine how things are happening over there, how people are, although, of course, a school is functioning exactly how it is functioning out here in Delhi. But, like, for example, I'll give you a small incident that a child had written, that he had written that he could not finish his homework for the reason that the only shop in the village had closed down, and he could not buy a pencil that evening. So that this child who received the letter here in Delhi, they were very surprised. He said that, "Ma'am, this has never happened with me." So
Hmm.
that urban-rural connect was also taking place through these letters and cards that we had initiated. So this has been
So
a very,
how was the sharing? Was it like, the letters are posted to the school and, with the facilitator, I'm guessing your team, you guys would open it and read it and share it together on what
yeah.
they received and what is their thinking about it?
Yeah. So what was happening was that from there, the coordination was happening with the foundation. The letters were coming to reach out, let's say from Manipur to reach out address, and then we would give it to the school where the project has been happening, Alok Bharti Public School, which is located in Rohini. We would take the letters to the school, and they would be distributed to the children whosoever it was addressed to.
Mm.
And later on, when the children would open the letters, then we would get to see, and they would share with us, and they would read out aloud also. So that is how the exchange was happening, and we would be sending the a big chunks of letters in big packets to,
Got
let's
it.
say, yeah, to the Northeast. And there were these other organizations who were involved from these three four states. Inside Northeast is one of them. So in Manipur, inside Northeast is the organization which is based in Saikul, and with them we had collaborated. And Narswan is in Assam, and then there is the Sneha School in Dayun in Arunachal. So all these organizations we had collaborated with, and they were the ones who were with whom we were uh, collaborating and coordinating and sending an exchange of big packets of letters and cards.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Is this still happening or the project is over?
It was supposed to carry on this year as well. The project is still continuing, and I mean, I had hoped that we would give it a newer shape with more, creativity to it. But
Yeah.
for now, everything is stalled, so we are also, we have the wheels have come to a halt right now for us.
All right. Yeah, because the reason why I'm asking is like I really want to encourage writing in
Yeah,
all form. And
yeah.
if children are still writing, I wanted to send a bunch of my greeting cards, which I make out of my painting, so that they can use those cards for their communication.
Yeah. That would be fantastic, Monica. You can still, I mean, if you can still send it across, and we would love to share it with the children.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah, because I think with the social media, with the mode of electronics, I feel people feel that there is more communication because you have more interaction on the um, electronics, but actually I feel it's the other way. We are moving backward in terms of real communication, because when you write a letter, the depth, what you want to say, I feel that's being lost when you actually, like, type a message, oh, I'm fine, or oh, how are you, you know what I mean. So I
Absolutely.
do want to encourage writing, and I think this project, what you're doing, is absolutely beautiful, specifically connecting people across boundaries.
Yeah. In fact, one more aspect that happens in terms of letter writing is that, and especially if you're relating to somebody who you've not met, sometimes it is easier to pour your heart out to somebody who you are not knowing, to a complete stranger.
Right.
So, as compared to people who are knowing you, and you somehow feel judged by them for saying things which you are a little, uncertain how they are going to view it, or how they are going to think about it.
Yeah.
So that has also happened. So yes, it has been a very effective tool for us. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a comment which I want to pick up. So let's look at this. It's okay. Let me read it out. Lukram Ingocha, first of all, thank you for watching and joining our show. The comment from him is, geography will play an important role in understanding the food habit, culture, history, arts, literatures among the metropolitan born youth. We sometimes feel surprised that someone who pass out graduate are also asking, where is Manipur? Is it in India? Maps and some graphic display are to be shown in TV and other medium to recognize the real faces of Indians. Nice topic. So that is one of the comment we have received. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I suppose. See, it's basically how much we are open to opening ourselves up to a world which has actually shrunk to a great extent. And with this, the present situation happening, I mean, the which is like, which I don't think in the last whatever number of years one can recollect of the human history, one would not trace anything like this happening in the last 300-400 years of human history, and I don't think it is going to repeat itself in a hurry now. And so to be able to relate to one another and to be able to connect to each other, and open ourselves up to newer cultures, to diversity, to multiculturalism more and more, is going to be the way forward, as and when we are going to be out from this long tunnel.
Right. And also, I think in this situation, right, you and me, we have seen scenario where people from the Northeast, from Manipur, were not allowed in grocery store
Yeah,
because people thought they were foreigners,
yeah,
right? And um, so those events are there, but at the same time I want to also pull in that when that happened and when that is shared, people of that locality, right, in Hyderabad the incident happened, but the police, they looked into that situation, stood up, called, got in touch with the student and made sure that they got, the food. So I think, like, there is the segment where people are not aware of it, but then there is also the segment where people are standing up and saying that no, that is not done. So I think it is the continuous evolution and continuous education
absolutely.
amongst the people of India.
Absolutely. It basically depends on how much we are committing to, changing the consciousness of people. I mean, how much we are ready to, people like you, people like us, myself, how much we are ready to put ourselves out there to keep on talking, even at the cost of sounding like a broken record, at times. But that is the only way. You have to keep on talking about it till such time people start taking a note of it, and they start thinking that what is happening? Why are they repeatedly talking about a certain issue? There must be something more to it.
Right, absolutely.
Especially,
Yeah, and I think it's all about sharing. Many people within our community too, I think we sometimes get angry that, hey, why are you asking where is Manipur? And I think instead of being angry, maybe, we can be a little more patient and sit down and, tell more about Manipur, create more
yeah,
content about Manipur. And, at the same time, like, even though I'm from India, of course, I don't know many parts of the city of India. So, I can also say that if somebody would say, oh, you don't know about that city,
yeah,
so I
yeah,
think it's all about education. But
absolutely,
definitely, I think educators, teachers have responsibility, and you sharing that, hey, they feel that, they don't need to intervene. That is a bit disturbing. And I hope whoever is listening, would take a note, and the policymaker would uh, get more policy written so that, people are educated more in a more formal way.
yeah, true, absolutely.
Is there any other initiative you want to share within your foundation?
Right now we are focusing more on this particular initiative because it has a lot many, branches, which it can be branched out in various ways, taking into account that education is such a creative field, and it is something which is basically, which is empowering the future generations of this country, and who are also open to accepting new ideas, who are at a tender age, who have not really become rigid about their own identities and their own ideas, that they have, stopped being open to accepting new things. So right now our focus is prime focus is on this project,
Yeah,
and
all right.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And, I do follow your page. Let me know if there's anything I can help
yeah,
or participate in any way, but keep doing, what you guys are doing. And it's absolutely my pleasure to hear, about the letter exchange and learning from each other for the
thank you,
children.
thank you.
All right. So do you want to move to the next segment and share about the book of
Yeah,
your
sure.
choice?
Definitely, definitely. So, I am currently reading Kahlil Gibran, and it's not as if that I'm reading Kahlil Gibran for the first time or anything like that. But during the current situation, I do not. I mean, it one finds solace in reading a book like his, and especially if it is The Prophet. I would be talking about his book, which is called The Prophet, which is a very famous book of his, which is, it's a book which surpasses time and space, I would say. It is applicable to just about all the people across the board, across the nations. It is about the whole of human race as such. But even before we start talking about the book, I would like to talk about the author a little. Kahlil Gibran was born in Lebanon in a poor Christian community, in Christian family, and he was born out there. And but at when he was an adolescent, he migrated to the US and he settled down over there. So even though he was a Christian, he had his writing has a lot of influence from the Muslim culture as well, and especially from the Sufism part of Islam. Um, and he was a remarkable writer. He was a remarkable artist. His art is beautiful, and he was a philosopher. He was a mystic, and all his writing, if you go through them, if you read them, you would come across a lot of profound wisdom for all the people across the board. And it is timeless. It is matchless, I would say. And this particular book, which I'm going to be talking about, uh, it is a prose poetry. The English which has been used in the book, it is a little, it is not that regular English that we read nowadays. It is a little, I would say, it's unusual that you will come across this kind of English in any of the books currently in the present times. So it's not so easy to read also. And it is not a regular book kind of a book, in the sense that it does not have a plot. It is not as if there's one event which is leading to another, and you are just carrying on reading the book in that sense. It is more like way of rumination, meditation, I would say. You read a particular chapter, and then you would like to just sit with the thought that that chapter will leave you with, and you would like to meditate about it. Even though it is just a 97 page book, even then I have taken a lot of time, a long time, to go through the book. I'm, as it is, not a very fast reader. When I read books, I do not just go through them very quickly and just finish off a book. I do not read books like that. And this particular book, you will not enjoy it also. So it is about spirituality, it is about philosophy, it also deals with a lot of human psychology. So it has a lot of wisdom to offer. um, the story, I mean, the way it begins, there is this person called Al Mustafa, who has been in exile in a in a island called Orphalese. And for 12 years he has been in exile on that island, and now his ship is arriving, he's about to leave, and he's making all preparations for his journey to begin. And the people of this island, when they get to know that this person is leaving, Al Mustafa is leaving the island, they have formed such a close connection with him that they all come clamoring for him, and they want to they gather around him, and they want to take seek the most of his wisdom in terms of all aspects of life. And he has so much to tell them. And so this book is a narration of his wisdom, what he offered to the people on that island at that before he left the island. And these were his gifts to those people. When he talks about love, he talks about marriage, he talks about children, giving, he talks about crime, punishment, reason, passion, teaching, work, just about most aspects, death, pain, judgment, all these aspects of human life. that we go through. And each of the chapters has so much in-depth offering to give you. There's so much of a gift out there that if you are open to receiving that gift, then it can be a life-changing experience for anybody who's reading this book. It would impact your consciousness, your way of thinking, and perhaps your way of living life as well. If you are really, making your consciousness expand and you're wanting to move ahead on your own life journey. So this book is a beautiful, beautiful book, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who is, who's seeking certain answers in life, or who are wanting. And it cannot be said that spirituality can be only done at a certain age or anything like that. Even really young people, they are opening themselves up and they are looking for certain answers in life, and they would get all the kinds of answers in this book. So it is very difficult to talk about the book in this way. So I would like to read from a couple of chapters, and you will be able to really get a sense of what the whole book has to offer. So if you permit, I would like
Yeah,
to read.
sure. Please, please.
Yeah. So
Can
this
I see
particular,
the book? Like, can you show me
yeah,
how the
oh
book
yes,
looks
yes,
like?
yes, yes. This is the book.
Oh,
Which,
yes. Okay. So
yeah, it
that's
is.
a thick book, right? Yeah, I do have that book, and it's
Yeah.
the chapter which you're referring. Got it.
Yeah. So the prophet is the name of the book is the prophet, and this chapter is on children. And a woman who held a babe against her bosom said, "Speak to us of children." And he said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. They may house their bodies, you may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You were the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. So this is such an evolved way of viewing one's own children.
Yeah,
Um,
that's beautiful about
yeah,
the thought, right?
yes, and
That's so
and
beautiful.
and frankly, Monica, as an educator and as a parent, I do feel that children are their own sovereign beings. They are not our extensions. A lot of times, we as grown-ups, as caregivers, as educators, as parents, we forget about that, and we try to impose ourselves, our ideas, our belief systems, and our own attitudes, all these things on our children. We forget that that is the place where they have to be given utmost freedom, to be able to think for themselves, to be able to critically analyze things for themselves, and to be able to move forward in life with that openness of mind, which perhaps we did not get. So if we allow them to be who they are, guiding them once in a while, of course we have the duty to guide them and to protect them whenever they need it, but we don't have the onus or the privilege to mold their thoughts as how we want them to. That is how we can break that chain or that cycle of dysfunctionality happening generations after generations.
Yeah,
We have to allow.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And specifically, I think, to put into context with our generation and maybe the next generation, a lot of parents have an influence on the choice of children's career path, right?
Yeah.
There are many speakers, young people who have come to my show telling that, hey, I didn't want to become a doctor. I wanted to pursue music, but I did not get support, or,
Yeah.
whatever be the case.
Yeah,
So yeah, absolutely. I think that was really beautiful, and
yeah,
I do see hope because I do see now a lot of people are being supported. Parents are, listening to the thoughts and idea about what their child wants, and
yeah.
kind of opening up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, we have to create those spaces where children can critically, question us,
Yes,
even their own parents for that matter. That is how even we are going to grow as people, as human beings. And we forget that it's a very beautiful thought, Monica, which I would like to share, that when an artist creates their art, and they put it out in the world, then it no longer belongs to that artist. The
yep,
artist is just vessel through whom the idea has flowed, and it has manifested in whichever form, be it a song, be it a painting, be it whatever form of art. After once when it has been created, it belongs to the world. Same is the
yep.
case with our children. Once we are out in the world, we have to, our duty is to nurture them, to help them move ahead in their journeys, but we don't have to curb their freedom and their sovereignty.
Yeah,
That's what I feel.
definitely. That's beautiful. Really well timed and lovely choice of book. Um, I definitely have that in my library. I haven't read that part, but I'm going to go look for that chapter and I'm going to check
You
that
must.
out. But
You
yeah, I
must.
think this is like
In
a
fact,
great, yes, go ahead.
yeah, in fact, I would like to highly recommend this chapter on giving also, which is just after this chapter about children. You must go to that chapter and read that chapter, and it is so relevant in the current times, in the present times. Why? Because you there are so many stories of people going out and doing these acts of giving. They are giving several things. They are giving, let's say, rations or money or whatever it is, and a lot many times you will find these same people clicking pictures and posting them on the social media, or wherever it, for their own gains. So the whole act of giving is not there, of course it is not there, but this particular chapter, it talks of the act of giving and receiving so beautifully, that the giving is receiving. When you're giving something to somebody, first of all, the material things that you're giving, that is the most, I would say, the easiest thing that you can give to anybody. When you're giving anything of yourself, your time, your loyalty, your love, your affection, your empathy, when you are putting yourself out there, that is something which you are giving completely and fully. And to be able to receive something like that is also a very, very beautiful part of life. That is how we make connections with people.
Right,
So
absolutely,
that is
absolutely.
another chapter. When, if you have the book in your library, you must read that chapter when once you've taken care of all these chats and talks and conversations.
Yeah, definitely I will. Yeah, my brother-in-law had given me as a gift, and I have read one story, and I remember being very mesmerized about the way he had written, because it's kind of timed, right? It's not of modern time. And so I was like, wow, the description. But yeah, I'm going to look it up and read that. So thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up the show today?
Just keep safe and reach out to whoever you can. I mean, make people feel important, make people feel loved, and protected whenever you can,
Yeah,
wherever you can.
absolutely. So, yeah, to everybody who's watching, I think right now, even though we feel that we are at home, there are a lot of things we can do, right? Like, I was just seeing a video about a nurse who broke down in New York, and her fear was she was not sharing, right, even with the family, of her insecurity, of her stress, because she didn't want anybody to be stressed. So at this moment, I think, if we know someone close to us who are in the frontline worker or who needs some kind of support, listening can be a very powerful way to support somebody. So on that note, we will end today's show. And thank you, Biva, so much for coming to our show,
Thank you
sharing
so much.
about your foundation, and hopefully uh,
Yeah,
I will participate in some of your initiative because it really sounds exciting.
definitely.
Yeah, and okay,
We would
so
love
I
to have you participate. Thank you so much.
yeah, okay, so let me just end with this message from Lukram Ingocha. Thanks, Mrs. Viva Lakhera, for initiating your new foundation by linking with Northeast India. Thanks to Iche Monica. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really nice, when we learn about initiative, which includes Manipur and specifically beautiful ones like yours. So thank you. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me. Really enjoyed. Bye bye.
Bye bye.